And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, what? Summons. When last were you summoned? So that you can participate in something heavenly. My time is almost spent. But I need to tell you, my experience. I was invited to Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I went by South African Airways. From Lagos, it's 5 hours to Johannesburg. From Johannesburg, it's 10 hours, 50 minutes to Sao Paulo. You're going to cross like 4 time zones. And when you arrive after your 10 hours, 50 minutes flight, your body clock would have been confused. And what I mean by that is you'll be awake when people sleep. And you'll feel sleepy when people are awake. It'll take you like 5 days for your body clock to adjust. And part of the ancients that taught me, instructed me and said, if for any reason you find it difficult to sleep, turn your night into prayer and Satan will help you sleep. That's one of... You don't need Valium. You don't need a pill. Convert it to prayer. And Satan in his tender mercies will minister sleep to you. May the Lord give you understanding. So I began to pray. I began to pray. I began to pray. I began to pray. And I fell into a trance. And I saw 12 men. The garment they were wearing was like silk curtains. And they were high up into the heavens. When they spoke, their voice was like thunder, smashing. And I came close and I recognized one of them. The only one I was given grace to recognize was the man John Knox. John Knox. So when I saw that John Knox was there, I knew it was a pack of intercessors that were made perfect. People, while on earth, were intercessors, but they had died and were in the heavens. I was given grace to hear what they were demanding, and what they said was that as intercessors, when we were men, you promised us that you would do so, and so in our territories. Then I now realized that they were all intercessors in Europe. That you would do so, and so in our territories. We have been watching, and what you said you would do, you have not yet done. And if we hear their demands and their voice, it was like thunder. Then I saw a committee that was set up. That was the first night. Okay. Second night, I was still not able to sleep. I fell into a trance again. Second night, there was a committee that was set up. Committee of like 8 men. I only recognized 2 people. Abraham and Joel. Prophet Joel. On the table. Now, you might ask me, how do you recognize these things? In heaven, there is an inbuilt discernment system. That's why on the Mount of Transfiguration, there was no need for introduction. When they came into that atmospheric environment, discernment was inbuilt. And they knew that this was Moses and this was Elijah. Are you with me? All right. So I was able, meanwhile, is the extent to which heaven wants you to discern that you will discern anyway. So the identity of Abraham was revealed. I knew as if I knew him and Joel. But there were 6 more men. No matter how I tried, I did not know their identity. And they formed a committee to check for people from the continent of Africa that could be used to meet the cry that these men were crying. Angels were attached to this committee to work with them. Each angel was given a lamp, like handset. Like this. This was how the angels held it. And when they come over a city and they flash it like this. Many colors will begin to appear on people's heads. Meanwhile, they were looking for yellow. And on the entire continent of Africa, yellow was scarce. There are many things about the encounter that is still difficult for me to understand. What does yellow mean? I don't know that. Yellow was scarce. The vision finished. The next day, third day, I prayed again. Fell into another trance. I realized I was one of the 24 people picked from Africa. I recognized myself. The other people. So there was an elaborate screening. Passed the first screening. I scored high. If I'm not mistaken, I was the first. Second screening was the next night. I was the first. Third screening, next night, I was the first. Fourth screening, the next night, I was still the first. I became confident. And then I was to be screened out at the 5th level. One of those elders on that table, because the conclusion was that screen out. One of the elders then stood up. I said, I know this man. And I don't know that elder. I've had a few heavenly encounters, recognized people, but I don't know that elder. It was on the basis of his recommendation. And he insisted that this one cannot be screened. So I greeted. My morale came down. Then the 6th stage was the final stage. And I was still the first. But so I don't understand. But, that is a council. It's not like INEC that people pay money. Now, do you know this? If you are walking into a bank, they are bulletproof doors. That is like the lift gate. It opens like this, you enter, it closes, and it opens like this. Then you come out. So there was something like that. But when you enter into it, a laser light will come on your head. And then the system was a printer to print out your mission field. So when I went into it, the laser came on me and it printed out. Printed, United Kingdom was number 1. Ghana was number 2. South Africa was number 3. Then I didn't know anybody that would invite me to the United Kingdom. Do you understand that? If it is God, your hand should not be involved. If you manipulate to open doors for yourself, you are doing your own ministry. You are not in service. I got the first invitation to London during the early time when that COVID broke out. Just spent 4 days. I came back because I was still in the service. The next time I went to the United Kingdom, I had resigned. So then we now held the program in Scotland. And I told them, where is John Knox? Where did John Knox stay? They say it's in Edinburgh. I said, take me to his grave. We now got there. We got to Edinburgh. And they say, okay, see his house. They turned his house to a museum. So when you come, they'll explain, this was where he used to do this was where he used to do, this was where he used to do this. So we now went upstairs, saw his study room, his chair was still there, his table was still there. And other tourists were leaving. I remained back, and suddenly a fire dropped upon my... I know you will not believe it, but I'm telling you my own story. A fire. A fire. It dropped. Then I knew it was his house we were supposed to go, not his grave. It dropped. It burned on my head for 45 minutes. And I knew that thing for which they cried, it had started. From that day when the fire came, miracles flow like with ease. Miracles. Signs and wonders. Things are prayed for. I was summoned for 6 nights. And on the 7th night, I now woke up by myself and prayed in tongues, hoping that I'll be summoned. It is not of him that willeth, not of him that runneth, but of God that shows mercy. Tonight, we are going to pray. There are things about your life that you will need to go and witness it yourself. If I tell you, you won't believe. But when you see it yourself, even if they take away your coat of many colors, you will know that there is something no one can take away. That which you saw when God invited you. It can never be taken away. It can